No, besides the arguments that we already went over with Ruhif, um, any other ones that stand out to you? Anyone on the panel?
I was just going to bring up one of the what they do for air pressure. They do the exact same for mass floating in a vacuum. I'll say, how can the moon be a rock floating in a vacuum? Because rocks fall in a vacuum. And they'll be like, the moon is a rock floating in a vacuum because look up, the moon is a rock floating in a vacuum. I'm like, that's circular logic. You can't just declare the same thing with the atmosphere. We are sitting in a atmosphere surrounded by a vacuum because look up, there's the vacuum. It's why can't I go look up, there's the dome, or look up, there's the unicorn farts? They'll say, oh, that's ridiculous, but that's what you're doing, and they just don't see it. It's crazy.
Yeah, the other thing, yeah, I forgot to bring this one up because this has been going on for years. Their argument against gas pressure is gas pressure gradients.
Straw man.
I just asked them which comes first, gas pressure or gas pressure gradients. You have to have gas pressure before you have gas pressure gradients, right? So that's another stupid argument. You have to have it. And the other one, I think I heard this on Discord too. They want to know what the container's made of. I don't have to tell you what the container's made of. I just know that there has to be, that means a contingent necessity, a container somewhere to have gas pressure.
What that is them taking a debunking of their claim against a sky vacuum. So the assertion is the space. What space? It's a vacuum. 10 to the minus 17 torr. Very, very, very low pressure. That's their claim. So we come along and go, well, what's the gas pressing on? And that is essentially the end of that argument. It can't press on a vacuum, it would disperse into it. So the necessary antecedent, the container, debunks the argument that the sky is a vacuum. Now, that in no way makes any claim about what the sky actually is. Now, we know that we must be contained. There must be a surface to press upon in order to have gas pressure in the first instance. It's the necessary antecedent. But does that in any way mean that I say the sky is X? No. I don't know what the sky is. Don't need to. I definitely know that we need a container for gas pressure, not a vacuum. But they just turn that around, make it into an assertion that we haven't made about what makes up the sky. Now, just because they have a just so story about what makes up the sky doesn't mean that we have to have one. We just know that the necessary antecedent to have gas pressure in the first instance is a container. That much is absolutely factual. And they'll never come up with an example of anything other than a container for gas pressure. And every single debunking seems to have a container on screen, like Blue Balls, whatever you call him, with his butane container and his long pipe slowing down the effects of entropy. Oh, it's got a hole in the top, you say. Well, according to them, 3 hours later, it's still got the same gas pressure. That's apparently what he's demonstrated. Well, okay. Will that last forever? Or will the gas eventually succumb to the effects of entropy? Well, of course it will.
Yeah, that's correct. You got it, man. They don't understand the necessary antecedent consequent genre, or concept, right?
Yeah, you summed it up when you said about them taking a snapshot. So my analogy was saying you've got a slow puncture in your car. So your tyre's got a screw in it. And you drive around for a day, and you can drive around with gas pressure in the tyre, right? Well, it's not a sealed container anymore, is it? But you've still got gas pressure, so you go up to it, you stick your valve on it and go, there you go, 25 psi. Okay, the other tyres are 30, but there you go. Gas pressure without a container, it's got a hole in it. No, you've delayed the effects of entropy by having a nice small hole.
Right.
And relatively speaking, that's actually quite a small surface area to make the comparison. The tyre has got a limited surface area. So, in other words, there's going to be a higher likelihood with a small surface area of one of the molecules of gas hitting the hole rather than hitting a surface. Well, if you increase the surface area, make a nice massive long pipe, then you've got plenty of surface area for each molecule to press upon, and therefore a lower likelihood of it hitting the hole, rather than hitting the sides of the container. Well, that will delay the effects of entropy, but given enough time, the gas moving in all directions will eventually not hit the container but hit the hole and disperse into the outside air. Now that's just a matter of time, that's entropy. But it's still got a container, it's got a surface area, you can measure how much the gas presses on that surface area with a snapshot of time. But entropy is dictated by time. So over time, the entropy will increase. That's just a fact, it's a law of nature. No getting around it with your pipe. No getting around it with a tyre with a screw in it, claiming that, look, there you go, gas pressure without a container, it's got a hole in it. No, I'm afraid not. You know, enough time goes by and the tyre goes flat, because enough time goes by and the molecules will all eventually hit the hole with enough time.
Exactly. The
Also,
entropy is directionally proportional to time. Everyone's had that slow tire leak. Drives you nuts, doesn't it? I had one for like 5 years. I didn't want to change out the tire.
Yeah, you just keep going to the air compressor, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But like I said, going back, and you're right, you're exactly right, Nathan. Going back to the consequent and necessary antecedent, right? The consequent is gas pressure. The necessary antecedent is a container. It's just like the consequent ribeye steak. The necessary antecedent for that steak to exist is a cow. Yeah, you see, let's see if you can get this. If it's already clearly established that to have ribeyes, cows must first exist, then if someone slaps a ribeye down on your table, then you know with absolute certainty that the cow exists somewhere without ever having to see it or needing any data on the cow. You know it must exist because the ribeye's in your face.
Can I give you Ruhif's rebuttal to that within the analogy? Ruhif's rebuttal to that was, I deny the cow. That's basically what he said. He said, I deny Nathan's assertion that you need a container. So he's basically saying, no, you say the necessary antecedent for a ribeye is a cow. I deny cow.
That is priceless, man. You're right.
That's kind of like a 5-year-old response. Like they learn to say no. What do you think?
Let's not forget how much faster that tire would leak if you put a vacuum up against the hole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot faster.
The entire experiment is not up against the vacuum; it's against the pressure, which is not what they're claiming. So they put a higher pressure in a tube against a pressure. You need to make the difference, the pressure differential that space has to this, to make it a valid experiment. Which, if you did, it would suck that butane out almost instantaneously.
And that was my point earlier. I know I threw that out there, and nobody got it, but that was ultimately my point. Because if you in either the tube or the fish tank, you've still got the outside air pressure pushing down. So, but if you removed all that air pressure that's pressing down on those gases, the process of entropy would speed up, be faster. It would occur faster. That's what I was trying to make a point earlier about.
Yeah, they move goalposts. They have to, because their model is impossible if you stick to the laws of physics.
Exactly. Isn't it ironic? Another irony is these people don't know what the scientific method is. They have no clue.
I got to touch on that. They say that it only disproves or gives evidence for. I'm like, Nathan, like, if you disprove something, if I can disprove that a rock floats in air, that means I proved it doesn't, right? Like, it goes both ways. And they're just,
yeah, it's an ipso facto. If you disprove something, then you've proved something.
Yeah, he wouldn't have it. You know, that's what I lost my temper. I start every show going, "Don't swear." As soon as you get someone like Ruhif on or Brenda on, I'm calling them fuckwits, and you know, I can't help it. I don't know why.
Oh, I got to listen to that first show, man. Did you get it rendered yet?
No, what I've done today, just so I can free up a bit of time afterwards, is I've not stopped in between the in-between bit between the 2 live debates. So 2 live debates have gone out individually, but in the interim, when I've gone out and sorted my kid and done other things, I've just left it recording rather than stopping, starting a new recording, then going and doing things, then starting the live show. So there's only one uncut and after show today, and it'll go out at 10 my time.